Hello there. In this tutorial I will take you on a trip into my Tropical Aviary Dome, and we will deconstruct the techniques I used with the FreeBuild-Mod to get this thing to work. Some of those you would be able to implement without the mod, but maybe on not on that little of space. You would need way more space to implement those, but some are just impossible to do without the mod. So after a little tour through my dome, I will show you how it came to be and what you can do if you're able to use my techniques, and maybe you can find out even more about what's possible and what's not possible. And as a look in the future, what I'm gonna do with this build in the next coming days or weeks. As I said, some things you would be able to implement, at least as a fake or illusion, without the FreeBuild-Mod. You cannot get guests inside the aviary, or a dome higher up like this, or without the mod and my glitches you cannot make these kind of fake bridges or a kayak tour with the river cruise in the lagoon. First off, let's see what I did on the side. I used floor, or I used something as floor piece on the ground. The same piece I made a bridge out of, but it doesn't have any collision on it. That's important because guests can't walk on pieces with collision. The inside is important. You need flattening foundational pieces that manipulate the ground and make sure that there is something for the guests to stand on. Because you can't see it, but thanks to the Lagoon bridge glitch, ground is there. It's just invisible thanks to the Lagoons. Which is important to remember, because not without any other trick, or you need another trick, that guests can traverse the bridge underneath. So it's, in reality, it's still an obstacle for guests or vehicles to get from one side to the other. There are ways, for example by connecting two Hyperloop stations near each other and fake some kind of tunnel like I did here as a rudimentary test. But yeah, they're just monorails that can go through the landscape without any problem. And I think there was another thing, but I can't remember. Nah, I think just monorails and a Hyperloop station. And of course, remote viewing entrances or something like that. So you could fake a tunnel underneath with the Hyperloop stations if they're the right vicinity apart, or send a monorail through, but that's it. So let's put the lagoon back in, and as you see, it's invisible again. I paused the game so that the guests stay where they are, even if I accidentally change something on the ground that blocks them from moving. But it looks fine at the moment. So, you need the flattening pieces to dig the ground, or to manipulate the ground. So you dig down, you build up, you make a staircase or steps or whatever you like. As you see here, I made, well, it looks like a staircase, but it's a ramp. Oops, deleted something wrong. So, it's a ramp. The lagoon bridge glitch makes the ground and the pathway invisible, but they're still there. And if you have the right ingredients, your guests will walk there. Just catch my longer tutorials how that works. Here in this part, I also have steps bringing the guests down. Take the whole thing up at once. Yeah, that's better. As you see, they are inside there somewhere. And if the FreeBuild-Mod is deactivated, you can't place them. So those kind of stairs are not possible without a mod. You could make them if you space them far enough away from each other, but that would create huge ramps. So if you want to build on a smaller, more realistic scale, yeah, you can't do that with the normal game. There's a small problem you have to think about. Maybe I can show you here. So if you place them like this, you get stairs that just don't seem right. I hope you see this little bump or hole in the ground. I can't get anything that's looking quite nice. But how did I did it here? It looks like stairs. Or 2 ramps. Yeah. Well, first off, you can hide irregularities with rocks, but you don't always have to do that. As you see here, let's delete those. And the pathway. Without deleting everything else, that's a little bit finicky. No. Here I created a nearly perfect ramp. The most difficult part is getting floor pieces to look like they are fitting and guests don't sinking in too much. They will sink in a little bit, but hopefully you get a right angle so they don't sink in too much. You could always put in pathway. It's maybe wide, but I don't know why I didn't do that. Maybe I just wanted to build a little bit more and didn't want to have it easy. But the more important thing is there are some. Let me show you. Let's get this ground down. There are many floor pieces. And I tried the right height to get the angle for the ramp that I want to. And I placed it, I think, in a 90-degree angle in the map. And that's important, because somehow the ground has some angles. You see it when you place any kind of mountain or ridge. Sometimes it's beautiful and it works, sometimes it's straight, and sometimes it's terribly crooked. Well, yeah. There are some weird angles when it comes to getting some height or whatever kind of environmental terrain in your game. And for any kind of stairs or ramps to look like this and not like this, they have to be in the right angle. So plan accordingly. There are ways to fix it or to camouflage it. So if the angle isn't perfect, you could say this part right in front of me is the ramp, and here you put a little rock or something like that. So guests can't walk there. Yeah, but better it's done right from the beginning. But without the FreeBuild-Mod, when see me moving this thing with the mod deactivated, I can't. Because other flattening pieces are in the vicinity. Let's see how far I have to be away. Well, that's at least, I don't know, 3 times farther away. To get this ramp, it would be way bigger and more like steps, I think, like I did on purpose inside here. More like steps. But even those are too close to each other, so it wouldn't work without the FreeBuild-Mod. Another thing that's not possible without a FreeBuild-Mod, and my dig technique with the flattening pieces, hence I called it flat dig technique, is this thing here. Not like this, at least. So to move it without, I will show you. I don't know if it's for you, if it's the same for you, but as soon as I click on move, it will jump around and I will never hit the right spot again. So there's a workaround. Just put anything you can select in. Select first or second, don't care. Select this, and now you can go inside advanced move without them jumping around. And you see, I couldn't even place this kind of building here. Why? Well, it's in water and it's inside an aviary. So without a FreeBuild-Mod, not possible. But let's activate this again. So, well, we don't care where we put things. And let's bring this on the outside so we can see better. And we will see what happens next. Yeah, that's what normally happens. And you need the flat dig technique to get it out of the ground again. Just for show and tell purposes, I wouldn't build my flattening pieces that ugly. There you have it. Another thing that's not possible without mods is placing buildings inside each other or that near each other. So I have the aviary viewing gallery. The gallery is, in this instance, important as an anchor too, yeah? And I use it so when I place the blueprint onto an aviary, it always has the perfect angle to build the other aviaries around. Same job does the... Well, where is it? Oops, did I delete it? I deleted it. Ah, there was. I will show you later. There was a lagoon viewing gallery somewhere here. As anchor for the lagoon. But where was I? Yeah. Buildings inside each other. So we have a restroom, we have the remote viewing entrance for the remote viewing dome, which isn't connected at the moment because we moved it. There's the aviary viewing gallery, which, well, it gives some unique perspective into the tropical aviary, but also works as an anchor. And how that can look like, you see here. We have the Cretaceous cruise under a small amenity for drink and one for food. And the guests will walk down there and get something to drink. And will ride the river cruise. And later I will finish this, don't know what it's called, this walkway around the aviary the guests will use to get to the aviary viewing gallery. And maybe I will put in some gyro tour starting over the lagoon, dropping inside, driving around and coming back up again. Don't know. I have many ideas and I like to create things that have many experiences for my guests in a small unit, so that I don't have one perspective on my enclosure, but that so that an enclosure gives you multiple different experiences, or gives the guests multiple different experiences. That's my goal when building something like that. They can sit here, not now, but they can sit here and eat. They can go to the restroom or the viewing dome or the aviary gallery. They can walk around, which isn't possible in a normal game. They can look inside from here or from the outside, or can get something to eat overlooking the lagoon and maybe take a cruise afterwards. And if I'm, well, I think I'm at, let's count, these are my anchors. There's a little bit of space left to get my restaurants, my river cruise, and maybe the gyro done with simple builds. I try to keep it simple. I don't like that. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see how many parts this has. Oops. This thing has one function. Guests go in or out. I don't know, I never used it, but yeah. This is a building with one function and it has 1,230 parts. This thing has, yeah, 3 times the parts at the moment, but multiple functions. Multiple perspectives for guests. Yeah. I like to build simple, I like the futuristic brutalist style. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah. But I like it, and it allows me to build without many, in German we would say, Schnickschnack. The little things that are unnecessary, and sometimes even, yeah, if it comes to piece count, sometimes hurtful to the game or the performance or, yeah, what you can do with it. So, my longer tutorial I showed you how to get a river cruise inside the lagoon, how to get guests walking over the lagoon, which they technically are with this walkway. And that's the whole point in the bridge glitch, to get guests walking over the lagoon. The lagoon bridge glitch isn't working with anything else at the moment, unfortunately. But, well, make the best out of it and have a river cliffside with restaurants or drinking amenities looking over it, and a Cretaceous cruise. And if you, my tip, use anchors, build with an anchor system, you can always get to the right thing, the right building. If you have to move it around, one anchor is multiple anchors, so I put every anchor there. And another anchor is just the one thing or the group. And I have to move anything. Let's see if I have to move it. I could later, maybe, could make it easier for me to get it back to the right spot. Of course, you should take more close attention. And it's easier if you moved it by crits in the first place. But, yeah, it's really useful to have some anchors. So, here you see an older version blueprinted of this gallery or aviary build. You see the angle isn't quite perfect, and that's why this ramp isn't perfect. You see when zooming out, it has a different angle. So if we put this down once more, first the aviary, you should be sure that it's in a 90-degree angle. That's the starting point, at least for this build. And as I said, you can use buildings as anchors so that everything has the right height. Sometimes it fights you a little bit until you get it just right. Don't know why it fights. Ah, there it is. We lost it. I want on this corner. Yes. Yes. Then you can place it. And as I said, there's the lagoon viewing gallery. This we will use for the lagoons, that they have the right height and the right angle. Well, you see, no, it didn't have the right angle. Let's... interesting. I haven't tried this before. Don't know why it doesn't work. I will try to find a better way to get the angle down. So let's look. This should work. Yeah, this could work. Oh no. Well, didn't work. So that's something I have to find out a better way to angle the lagoon viewing gallery more perfectly to the lagoon, but doesn't matter. The more important thing is this thing first. And as you see, the aviary anchor with the aviary viewing gallery just works fine. Now we could start building our enclosure. One tip: give it water first, because it's a hassle to paint water underneath the remote viewing dome when it's already set. Because now I have to move it, put water in there, then move it back again. Yeah, just paint the water first and then you have no problem. The ground isn't right. Now it is. See the stairs. Path back. Yeah. You have to do the pathing, of course, again, but yeah. After that, your guests will walk inside the aviary, down here, watching the dinosaurs, and visiting your remote viewing gallery, your restroom, later the restaurant, the river cruise, etc. So, I hope with this little showcase I could demonstrate at least demonstrate a few things, what's possible thanks to the FreeBuild-Mod, and a few techniques I've shown you in the last tutorials of mine. And well, there are even crazier things than this more normal kind of build. And maybe even more crazier things I didn't think about first, so if you have an idea, try it out. Give me a call, tell me about it. I hope to see many more builds that should have been possible from the beginning. Because all I've done here is something. Why can't we do it with the base game? Why aren't there bridges from day one? But, well, if Frontier doesn't give us things, at least there are some great and involved fans that get to work and give us something like the FreeBuild-Mod, or some people love skins and remodels of dinosaurs, and well, go to nexusmods.com, look there, you will find some amazing stuff. And well, try this technique, or the techniques. Because don't limit yourself to the things you already built day after day after day. Break the limits. And upload some crazy stuff to the workshop if you like. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and yeah, have fun with your next gaming session. Maybe if we put some Lagoon viewing galleries on both sides, we will later get the perfect angle for this build. Of course, correct this. There's the path again. Sorry guys, have fun climbing up. And save the blueprint. Everything is selected. Okay. Let's try to place it. Of course, aviary first. So. And the right angle, yeah. Nope. Yes, that way. Doesn't work. I don't know why. Maybe someone has a way to fix this. try something else. Maybe we can force the anchor that way. Maybe when we angle the lagoon viewing galleries. Let's try this on for size. Oops. That I want to keep. Maybe the lagoons. Okay, demolish it. One thing at a time. I think it was the aviaries. Okay. Check for the angle. Yeah. Should be something like 90 degrees. Bring in the big boy. Try to get it to stick and snap into it. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes it's easier to get the mouse out of the visible area of your screen. And don't ask me why. It certainly works. Things snap. It's a problem for bigger builds like this. And that was a mistake. This angle, I didn't want this angle. I want that angle. Or that one. That's okay too. That's okay too. But, as you see, placing it is difficult sometimes. It does not snap right on it. No. Okay, finally. Now for the important part. Did it work? Ah, nice. Which one is connected? Those two. Okay. The straight one is a problem. because, as you see here, it creates a line from itself. Lagoons would go out there in a perfect straight line, yeah. But I don't want that. Those two, I don't know if this connects two at the same time, but because they are angled, or this one has a line straight down there, it's doing exactly what I wanted. Good to know. From now on, if my build needs a straight line and a perfect distance to cut through here and create the lagoon bridge glitch, I will put my lagoon viewing dome gallery here at the head or at the corner. And we will delete this sucker. Don't need it. Oops. Just want to delete you. Yes. And because this video isn't long enough, of course it's too long, but I don't care. I will give you a little insight in the working process I had for the restaurant and river cruise out back over the lagoon of my Tropical Aviary build. So you can see how I implement the flat dig technique to get the ramps done, and what I use the lagoon bridge glitch for, so that the buildings seem to be up in the air while they are in truth standing on solid ground that's just not visible anymore. And yeah, maybe you get the gist and can learn something from that, or better understand what I meant with all the things I told you in the last, well, 50 minutes or so. So have fun.